Welcome to the Better Together podcast. I'm your host, Kyla, and today we're talking all about the holidays. But before we get started on the topic, I am going to read my journey to the heart entry. This is called Claim Your Own Life, and it's about not being influenced by others or listening to what, not doing what other people think you should do, but doing things that you want to do and believe in and feel good about. So claim your own life. Claiming your own lives creates fulfillment and joy. We don't need to be controlled. We don't deserve to be repressed or stifled. We don't have to let anyone convince us that we do. We can trust ourselves. We know what we need. We know what we yearn for. We long to be set free. What once seemed so overwhelming, creating and taking responsibility for our lives, wasn't really so. It was our belief that we couldn't do it, couldn't handle it, couldn't be trusted that made it so. We created our own prison by believing we were trapped, stuck. We became controlled by believing others knew better than we did, what was best for us. We were afraid to take responsibility for our choices, so we gave up our power. Now it's time to step out, leave our prison of fear. We can take responsibility for our lives. We can take responsibility for what we create. We don't have to be afraid of making a mistake or doing something wrong. If we create a situation we don't like, we can create something different. We're free to create the life we want. We're free now to claim our own lives and create fulfillment and joy. We always have been. So I think this entry is a good reminder that we have control over our own lives and we can do what we want with them and make the choices we want, and we don't have to do something that someone else is doing. I think for me, something that I think about or something that I thought about while I was reading this is I get stuck in a headspace where I'm comparing myself to other people and think I should be at a certain point that I see other people at that I may not necessarily be at, and I judge myself for it, and I am not nice to myself. And it's not about that. It's about I'm on my own path, just like all of you are on your own path, and it's important to know that everybody's path is unique and different, and there's you shouldn't compare yourself to other people because we are all so different, and the steps we're taking are different, and the opportunities we have are different, and the people we know are different. So it's important to just follow what's true to you, be your authentic self, and for me, I truly believe that if you are your authentic self and you're living and doing and being true to yourself, that good things will happen. And so yeah, that's how I interpret that, and I really liked it. And it's just a nice reminder that everything is going to be okay, and you can do whatever you want. And if something doesn't make you happy, then change it. And I know that everything, and I say this all the time, it's easier said than done, but I think it's also a practice in your headspace and your mindset to think about those things and remind yourself of those things, and maybe eventually you will start to believe them, and it could have a positive impact on your life, I hope. And these are all things, everything I say on this podcast and when I share my own experiences, I am not trying to sound like I am the most perfect person that has it all figured out and everything is amazing and perfect. And no, these are things that I'm also going through in my life, and they're things that I'm also navigating and trying to figure out on my own and practice on my own. And I am by no means perfect. I am just sharing my beliefs with you, and I hope that you guys relate with them, and that's that. So that leads into my topic, holidays. The holidays can be a very joyful time to spend with family and making not making connections, but connecting with family and friends and celebrating. And they can be a very spiritual time for people. And they can also be a sad time for people. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about how to cope with the holidays if you're someone who's grieving during this time, or if you're someone who doesn't have the best relationship with your family, or if you're someone who just doesn't like the holidays. I want to share some insight on how to deal with some of that stuff. I personally am someone who struggles during this time. December is around the time where I lost my brother, so it's a constant reminder that as the holidays come up, it's a constant reminder of that anniversary date. And so for me, it's not a particularly easy time, and it's not a particularly easy time for my family. And I know I'm not the only one that deals with this. I know other people also deal with it. And so yeah, I figured I would talk a little bit about that. Also, before I forget, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. This is coming out after Thanksgiving. So I hope everybody had a lovely holiday and a lovely time, whether you were with friends or family or you celebrated alone, because that's also nice too. So this is gonna be probably a shorter episode. I feel like the last few episodes of mine have been on the longer side, so I figured this one would be a good shorter episode. So I'm just gonna go through a list that I created of some advice I have. And like I said, I lost my brother during this time. I actually found out about my brother's passing on Christmas Eve, which is very depressing. Now, I will say I am not a religious person, like I said on this, but I come from a Jewish background, so I don't celebrate Christmas. But I find this time is particularly difficult for me, one, because I lost my brother, but two, it's a very cheery and joyful time for a lot of people. There's a lot of, Christmas holiday movies out that are supposed to be joyful and exciting, and everybody has decorations out, and it's a struggle personally for me to see everybody so joyful and me not sort of feel that way. So again, I know I'm not alone in those feelings. I know there's a lot of people out there who grieve during this time, and not just grieve. Like I said, it's more than just grief. It's people who don't necessarily get along with family members or feel very alone during this time, during a time that you're supposed to not feel so alone, because you're supposed to be surrounded by family and blah, 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 blah. So here's some advice that I hope gives some insight and is helpful for you guys. And I'd love to hear your own holiday stories and what you guys do during this time. And if you guys struggle, and also if you don't struggle, like, I'd love to hear the happy stories too. But know that I am here. I see you. And you're not alone during this time. So give yourself permission to feel. You don't have to feel festive just because it's expected. It's okay to feel sad, lonely, or overwhelmed. Avoid judging yourself for how you're feeling. Validate your emotions as part of your experience. At the end of the day, don't be hard on yourself. It's okay to not feel okay. It's okay to not love the holidays. It's okay if this is not a happy or joyful time for you. And it's okay if it is as well. You're not alone, and don't judge yourself or have negative self-talk about it. Don't be mean to yourself. Be aware of those feelings and support yourself and act. I feel like your talk should be what you would say to a good friend who is not feeling so good. You should be a good friend to yourself, basically. Set realistic expectations. The holidays don't have to be perfect or look like they do in movies or on social media. Focus on what you can control, like creating small moments of comfort or joy rather than trying to meet external expectations. And I also should say, what I do on the holidays, at least for the anniversary of my brother's death, me and my family, we're all kind of spread out now. I'm in New York, my brother is in a different state, my other brother is in a different state, and we're all from Michigan, so we come back and visit our mom and spend our time on or during that week of the anniversary together. It's sort of become a tradition, and I think for us, it's about supporting our mom. I could never imagine being in her position and losing a child that is beyond, I just can't even imagine what that is like. It's horrible. I think that it's horrible, it's horrible losing anybody close to you. It's horrible losing a brother, a parent, whatever, a sibling, whatever. But to be a parent to someone, I just couldn't even imagine. So my brothers and I feel it's really important to be there for our mom. And I think that she feels it's important for us to be together as a family. Anyways, prioritize self-care. Make time for activities that nurture your physical and emotional well-being, like journaling, walking, or resting, or in my case, yoga, something active, or just, something that makes you happy, whether it's baking or doing an art project or being with friends, whatever it may be. It's important to recognize what you're feeling, and if you're not feeling good, and doing something that, being aware of that and not ignoring it per se, but doing something that is taking care of you. Like I said before, if you had a good friend who wasn't feeling good, you would talk to them and you'd be there for them. You have to do that same thing for yourself, and doing something that's going to make you happy or feel good is important. This is a very big one. Establish boundaries. You are allowed to not do something if you don't want to do something. You're allowed to not go to an event if you don't want to go to an event for the holidays. If you don't get along with certain family members and you feel like it's going to cause you more harm, just set a boundary. If you are in an environment that doesn't feel good, but you have to be there for some reason, set an amount of time that you'll be there, and then leave and do something that is sort of in the self-care realm for yourself afterwards. So politely decline events or interactions that feel toxic or stressful. Let people know your limits, whether that's about participating in traditions, gift giving, or attending gatherings. You do not have to make yourself do something that you do not want to do, and you shouldn't. I feel like it's important to, especially as you get older, and I'm in my late 20s now, you make friends and you build your family outside of your family and do stuff with them and create your own little thing. Even if you're doing it by yourself, make something special or create some sort of tradition that you can do on your own that feels good to you. That's not a bad thing. All right. Find your own meaning. Redefine what the holidays mean to you. This could involve creating your own rituals or traditions that feel authentic. Like I said, doing something on your own, or doing something, creating something, and a thing with friends, or doing whatever it may be. It could be anything, but creating something that feels good to you and making it a tradition. Celebrate in a way that aligns with your values, whether that's volunteering, giving small acts of kindness, or spending the day reflecting. It's important to know that you don't have to sacrifice, your own well-being for the sake of others. And this reminds me of something I said in the eight life lessons episode, which was, it's okay to be selfish sometimes. There's such a negative, that word has such a negative meaning to it in society, but it's not a negative thing. It's so important to choose yourself first. It doesn't have to be all the time. Like, there obviously are certain situations that, you should be there for others and that kind of stuff. But if something really is not feeling good with you, not feeling good for you, or not aligning with your values, like I say on my list, not aligning with your values, or just not suiting you in general, it is okay to choose you first and take care of you. You don't always have to pick and choose the other people. You're just as important, and your well-being is just as important. Reach out to others. Connect with friends, neighbors, or community groups, especially if you're feeling isolated. If possible, seek out chosen family or people who understand and respect your needs during the season. I think this is a really important one, because I think during the holiday season, if you're already not feeling good, it's easy to allow yourself to isolate and not be near people and not reach out to people. And even if you're not reaching out to your family necessarily, you should still be able to feel like you can reach out to your friends and whoever is in your circle that you feel connected, comfortable, and close with. And it's important to not isolate. I think isolating can be really bad. I think it's okay if you're, if you need to gain energy or whatever by being alone, if you need to like rejuvenate or whatever. I'm not using the right words right now, but if you need to, be alone because you need that for yourself, totally valid, totally fine. But if it's something like you're just isolating because you're not feeling good, that's not good. And I do that all the time. I do that in the moments that I really don't feel good. I am not calling my family. I'm not calling my friends as much. I'm really being alone in it. And what I've learned through lots of therapy is that it's important to reach out and to connect with the people you trust the most, who are going to support you, and not isolate and not be so alone, and know that you're not alone. It can help so much just by opening up and talking to somebody about it. And so yeah, I think that's really important. And also, my DMs, my email is open for anybody who is feeling not okay. I'm happy to be a person of support, even if I don't know you. Like I've said in the past with this podcast, it's about creating a community and being a comfort for other people. And so I do really want to be that. So if there are people out there who feel alone, don't be afraid to reach out. I'm a non-judgmental zone, and I'm happy to just be a person to talk to, and for me to just listen. I don't have to share advice, whatever. It could just be a space where I listen. That's it. All right. Plan ahead for emotional triggers. Identify situations that may be difficult, like family conflicts or reminders of loss, or and plan how to handle them. So for me, I like being near my family during the time of the anniversary of my brother, at least. It's a comfort to me. So planning ahead and making sure I get my ticket ahead of time, and I'm planning the dates, and I let my work know the dates that I need to go is really important. If I didn't do that, I would not feel good being not with them during that time. Okay. Have an exit strategy for social events like stepping outside for air or leaving early if needed. Like I said, do not force yourself to be in a situation that doesn't feel right for you, that doesn't align with you. You should be able to leave the situation early or step out. Also, this is a very sensitive time in the world, I feel like, with politics and everything going on. I'm not going to get into any politics, but if you're going to a family event and there are opposite sides, that can be kind of difficult. If you guys have different beliefs, that can be draining and difficult. So I think just allowing yourself to either leave early or change the plans or do something that's going to be good for you is important. Again, being selfish is okay sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes it's important to choose you. Not sometimes, most of the time. All right. Honor grief and loss. Acknowledge any losses you're feeling, whether it's the absence of loved ones or other forms of change. Create a meaningful way to honor their memory, such as lighting a candle, sharing stories, or doing something they enjoyed. So for me, my brother would always make brownies. He loved brownies, and he would always cut a huge brownie out of the middle of the pan or whatever. And so every year now, we not only light a candle, which is a Jewish tradition, but that burns for the 24 hours or whatever, or a day. But we also make brownies in his memory, and we cut a piece from the middle. And that's just become a tradition, and it helps us honor him and remember him, and it's comforting to have that. It's something that he loved, so it's comforting doing something that he loved in honor of him. So, yeah, well, I'm curious what things you guys do if someone listening to this is grieving. What do you do to honor that person, whether it's during the holiday season or not? Okay. Practice mindfulness and gratitude. Focus on the present moment rather than getting lost in what ifs or comparisons. Even in tough times, finding one small thing to appreciate each day, like a warm drink or a kind word, can help shift your perspective. I like this one because I think that one, it's just generally good to to stay in the present. I've said this in past episodes. If you are focusing on the future, you're very anxious. If you're focusing on the past, you are feeling more depressed. If you're focusing in the present, you're not somewhere else. And not to say that you can't think about other things or, remember the past or think about things in the future. Those are important things, but it's when you notice that you're too in that and you're not allowing yourself to be in the present moment as much and not enjoying what's happening now. I totally lost where I was going with that thought, but it's important to be present. also, this is something that I was reading in that tools book that I shared in the last episode. Finding things to be grateful for. It sounds so like cliche and cheesy, but it actually is really important to just like one small thing every day to be thankful for or grateful for will help you have a more positive mindset and feel better about where you're at in your life. And I also think I don't want to preach like being positive all the time. That's impossible. And also, it's not normal to be positive all the time. It's important to feel your feelings and not be happy all the time. We have these feelings for a reason, and so you have to honor that you're having these feelings for a reason and allow yourself to have the feelings and not ignore them and not be aware of them. Excuse me. I feel like I'm coming down with a cold or something. The last few days I haven't been sleeping well, and my nose has been a little stuffy, and it's been freezing in New York. Which honestly I'm not like super bummed about, because the super warm weather in November was weird and clearly global warming and scary to have the weather that we sort of had in November. So I am happy that things are getting colder, but god damn, it's cold. All right, sorry for my little rant there. All right. Seek professional help if needed. If your struggles feel overwhelming, don't hesitate to reach out to a therapist or a counselor. Hotlines and support groups can also provide immediate comfort and understanding. Look, this can be a really hard time. Also, it's not even just the holidays, I realize. It's when the weather changes and it's colder and having to be inside more, or the sun going down so much earlier can cause seasonal depression and not feeling as good as when it's in the warmer months, or when it's when it's lighter later. So know that you should seek help if you need it, and don't feel bad about that. Everybody needs help. I see a therapist weekly. And there's nothing wrong with that. There shouldn't be any judgment to see a therapist. I think every person should go to therapy, whether you have something going on in your life at that moment, or you're just like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Every person deals with shit, and it's important to take care of those things. I don't think it's necessary for every single person to go to therapy, but at some point in your life, it's not a bad thing. And also know that again, I've said this a billion times, but you're not alone. You're not alone. People struggle, and it's totally okay. And my door is open for anybody who is struggling. I'm not a therapist. I'm not like a professional in that way, but I can be a friend and I can support you however that means. All right. Give yourself grace. Remember, it's okay to prioritize your needs over others' expectations. Surviving the holidays is enough. Thriving isn't mandatory. You're not alone in finding this time of year difficult, and it's absolutely okay to make it through in your own way. So, like I said, this is going to be a way shorter episode, but the holidays can be a very hard time, and that's okay, and however you deal with it is okay, and allowing yourself some grace and maybe doing some new things that feel good for you to make this time feel a little bit better, not a bad thing. You should do that. I encourage it. And again, I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. This is just advice that I share based on again, my own experiences. Anything I share is based on my own experiences. I want to hear what you guys think of the holidays, how you guys deal with this time. Is it hard for you? Is it not hard for you? What are some of the happy stories? Tell me your sad stories. Know that you are not alone. I am here for you. And I guess that's that. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. Please remember to rate my podcast. Give it a 5 stars if you like it. It helps a lot. Please share. Follow me on my YouTube that I have now. Subscribe. Put on your notifications so you know when a new episode comes out. Follow me on my personal Instagram, which is Kyla_Milberger. Follow me on the podcast Instagram, which is the_bettertogether_podcast. Write in questions, comments, stories, whatever, to thebettertogetherpod@gmail.com, and subscribe to my YouTube. I have a visual now, and the visual is on my Spotify as well. So yeah, thank you for all of the support, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye.